So, Dylan, I would ask you how you're doing, but the Jaguars decided to break news right before the show went live here, signing Zay Jones to a 3-year, $30 million contract, former wide receiver from the Las Vegas Raiders. This kind of goes as a whole. As a Jaguars fan, how are you feeling today after all of the big moves? When they signed Christian Kirk, they signed Brandon Scherf, they signed who else did they sign? They signed a bunch of guys. Evan Ingram. Yeah. So how are you feeling after a big day for the Jaguars? And most people would say the Jacksonville Jaguars are a big winner today.
Yeah, I feel great. To be honest, I feel great about all these signings. I mean, I love when teams are aggressive and in the right matter. You know, when you're trying to show your fan base and your organization, hey, we're going to try to win. And we're going to try to fill pieces that will help us win more games. They could have very easily said, no, we're still rebuilding. Let's build through the draft. Let's trade away some of our pieces. They're like, no, you know what? Let's go out. Let's start helping out our roster. Let's start signing some long-term deals. That's what I've noticed about all these contracts outside of Evan Ingram. Zay Jones is 3 years. Christian Kirk is 5. You get 4 years from what's the other one? Was it Sheriff? I mean, his is unannounced. But there's everybody that's been signed has been a long-term deal. And that's something as a Jags fan, you're like, okay, they're trying to build something into the future. They have a Super Bowl winning head coach now with Doug Peterson coming over there. I think things are pointing up for the Jags. They're filling holes easily, and they still got the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah, I want to ask this question here, and I know maybe I'll get shit for this, and I always get ragged on for, oh, you can't win with Jags fans. Either they're crying about this or crying about that or what. To me, I see the Christian Kirk deal. It's a lot of money for a guy like Christian Kirk. I'm not hating it. And then they signed Zay Jones, and it's a decent amount of money for Zay Jones. Would you have rather put all that money or most of that money towards an Allen Robinson instead of getting a Christian Kirk and a Zay Jones, Dylan?
You know, that's a tough question. I think the more bodies, the better in this instance. Okay. Maybe you do need a established number one, but Allen Robinson's only getting older. He's had a tenacious personality when it comes to any locker room he's walked into. Like, he's a social media outcry, and that's something the Jaguars had a lot of with Jalen Ramsey in the past, Yannick Ngakoue, anybody that would take to social media. Not to say that that's the case with Allen Robinson. Looking at it from a talent perspective, I think it would have been nice to have that number 1 target out there, but look, you're giving financial commitments to multiple years to try to build up that receiver room as a whole. You still have Marvin Jones. You still have Laviska Shenault, some other wide receivers in that room. I think that they're just trying to get more bodies in there, and Christian Kirk could potentially have the ability to be one of the best receivers in that room.
Yeah, I'm excited for the direction that the Jaguars are going.
Stop it.
What? Okay.
Stop. No, not you, Dylan. I actually agree with you. Stop bringing up Allen Robinson's name like he's not 28, 29 years old off of a down year. And you're talking about using this money for young guys. Zay Jones is still young. Okay. Christian Kirk is a young guy. You have a Laviska Shenault who's young. I believe Marvin Jones is still there, right, for another year or two. I think it was a 2 or 3 year.
Another year, one more year.
Yeah. Left. So I really, really like the moves that the Jaguars are making. I don't think you need, for Jaguars fans, yes, it would have been nice to bring back Allen Robinson, very sentimental and all that stuff. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think they're in a different time and a different direction right now. And I think, and Allen Robinson's not, I believe Allen Robinson wants to win.
Yeah.
And in Jacksonville, I'm not saying that they can't be better, but they are not going to win. They're not up for championships in the next, year or two. So I think it was a good move.
I think something for the Jags right now is the fact that, like, last year we had Urban Meyer and he really wasn't doing anything. There was no signings at all. He had trouble recruiting free agents, apparently. This year, it's not that they're still pretty much in the same cap situation as last year. They have a ton of money to spend. Will they spend it? Now they're spending it, and they're not going after like the big name guys, although they did get one of the best offensive linemen, if not the best offensive lineman in this class. But they're getting quality and they're getting quantity with their free agents. I'm very excited for where the Jaguars are going with this new regime led by Dougie P, my boy.
The defensive side of the ball got good too.
Yeah, you didn't even mention the linebacker and the D lineman they got.
I can't pronounce any of the names.
Crazy.
They are Aluakon. Hey, that guy he led the league in tackles last year. He's a hell of a player. He's from Harvard, right? He's the guy from Harvard.
Yale.
Or Yale. One of those big Ivy schools.
Wicked smart. Wicked smart.
Wicked smart. Yep. But I will say this. The deal that they gave Christian Kirk, everybody's talking about it because they feel like it's overpaying a guy who hasn't produced as a wide receiver 1 level. Let's remember, Devontae Adams just got tagged. Chris Godwin got tagged. Dylan had mentioned it over and over again, how the wide receiver market had diminished. And there's 2 ways to approach that type of free agency. Either you're the team with a ton of cap space that goes out and spends right away, and you might set the market higher than most people would, or you wait to try to get bargains. But if you wait to try to get bargains, those guys are no longer available, right? So if you're Christian Kirk, I believe him and his agent did a really smart job of being the first to sign, because now those teams that are also in desperate need of wide receivers, now they might have to overpay an Allen Robinson. Now they might have to overpay an Odell Beckham or somebody like that just to get them in the building. So I think going out and getting a guy that you really liked and setting the market yourself, I think you actually save money in the long run. So I like what Jacksonville did there.